coming into the grid boxes then for the start of this Grand Prix. We have some racing to get underway with. Oh, Patrick, can you get a fantastic start coming up towards turn one? You're going to need a really, really controlled throttle to give us the absolute bee's knees up towards turn one. Here in Monza, lights have gone out, but we have to wait just 1 second. And there we go, we are away. Patrick has got quite a nice exit actually. Zones looks like he's got a fantastic start. Get on the inside though. He should be able to block this off unless Zones can actually flick down the inside. He cannot. Get on will defend it quite nicely. Patrick will come in towards turn one. There's a little bit of late braking going on. I can't see any carnage just yet. Everybody seems to be just okay. No wing damage, no yellow flags, no safety car. Lap 1, turn 1 at Monza.
Yep, and Get On and Zones are fighting side by side quite a lot there. Got who's going to get this into the braking zone here? We've seen this move with Lewis Hamilton's back Vettel.
I thought they were done there. He was trapped on his inside. I thought he was over and out, but no, it's the carnage down at the back though. Vanya and that Rainbow seems to have had a bit of contact between them. Wing damage on the left hand side there for Rainbow. He's got a lot of wing missing there for him. Yellow flag 6-2. That is in fact Alex Budd, who is stuck facing the wrong direction. So Zone's actually lost out to Hugo's on the home straight. He's already under attack here from Vexit, who I think might actually go for a late break zone here. This is not the ideal run he wants. He's backed out a little bit. Zone's gone deep. Big mistake there from the Mercedes driver. That's allowed the Red Bull driver of Vexit to keep it clean himself. Vexit making a mistake. Who's that in the wall? That's Alex Budd. Big crash from him.
Ascari claims another victim.
Safety car.
Safety car for it. Patrick and Get Owned were in the perfect part of the track for that safety car to come out. So everyone's coming in.
Poor some idiot. He's going to get double stacked here. Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it. In case you didn't see it, the bottom left corner, we just had a notification to let us know the safety car is in this lap. So it's down to Patrick Seapost to back the pack right on up here, and this is crucial because the run towards turn one is enormous. So you either go now or you wait and go a little bit later after Parabolica and just try and catch Geton off guard. If he can build a nice healthy gap. So I think he's gone. Yes, he is. He's gone for it. So that was now Geton reading that quite nicely. Stayed well within his tow range. ERS is being utilised quite a lot there from Geton. Hugo's in the same sort of position. Zone's also doing the exact same, but he's actually chosen not to get in the tow. So I think he's worried he might actually overshoot the braking zone like he did earlier coming in towards turn 4-5. And in fact, he does come in towards turn 1 quite nicely. Let's see how everyone else down the back of the field does as well. There's a little bit of scrapping between them. There's a McLaren there. That is actually Florian getting on down the inside there. Oh no, there's a rotation. That's Coffee. I think he actually lost that on his lonesome. I don't think there was any contact. He just had a rotation. No wing damage for him, so he's going to continue as he is.
I'm not too sure. It looked like Vanya might have been involved in that, but yeah, unfortunate for Coffee, and that puts him dead last. Out that 1 second as he managed before. So this train will become very important if it sticks together.
Dennis and Vanya going into it side by side in towards turn 1. There's a bit of carnage between the two of them, a bit of a lag spike there for Dennis it looked like, and he will fall back behind Vanya, and that has not allowed him to get the position, but it is also more crucially broken the gap between the train and them. So now they're fighting for nothing. Greed has taken over. Oh, Dennis just very nearly going to the back of Vanya. Danico is looking for Phoenix Legend in towards turn 4-5. Phoenix Legend got a little bit late on the brakes, but he manages to lock himself in. Who was that? That was Top Tom who went for a move down the inside of Danico. Bit of contact between them. And now this allowed Rainbow to get on the inside of Top Tom. Suddenly, the medium runner of Rainbow is now into the point scoring positions, and he has to get a move on even further than this because he has to get more than enough time to cover that 5-second penalty. And boys goes for Telenin. But this nice little train here for top 5. Oh, it's just been ruined. Vex has gone off into the gravel. He's off into the wall as well. He's had a mare of a time. Did he reset or did the camera just change? Like, this was a race win that could have been his. Phoenix Legend also went for a move on Yonti. He's got himself up to P6, but the penalties and the backhand kick out will mean Yonti will just take that right on back and continue as he was before. See his problem. I'm starting to realise The gap between him, actually Yonti and Phoenix Legend and Daniko. Daniko in for a move here on both of them. He almost locked it in, but he went a bit too deep. He's fallen to P7. Yonti's back into P6. I think overall, penalty-wise, he's the better out of all of them behind him up until Florian. So realistically, Yonti doesn't have to fight. Phoenix Legend is looking for Daniko. He's actually had to back out right early. Flick back over to the racing line, but he's actually made a bit of a mistake there. Because Rainbow's down the inside. There's the Phoenix Legend gone off track. Brings himself back on again with Top Tom just about getting through as well. There are so many mistakes, so many scraps going on, especially with Dennis and Brownie. They're also having a little fight. Brownie's stuck on the outside for Lesbo too. Has just about kept himself within track limits, but Florian and Phoenix Legend have a little bit of contact. This is chaos. Dennis is looking to try and get past Florian, but so is Brownie. Florian is trying to get past Phoenix Legend. Phoenix Legend is just staring at his mirrors, hoping he doesn't get taken out here. And he's gone a bit too deep into a Scary. Mistakes are being made left, right, and centre. Surely we're going to see a death. How is no one dead? How are they still going? Dennis gets past Florian. He's working his way towards Phoenix Legend, and everyone is still alive.
And this is going to be happening from lap after lap. This train is so powerful. And now you can see Florian right on the gearbox of Dennis again. He's trying to make the move up the inside. Dennis was a little bit wide. This is fantastic. Dennis is now going to try and make the switch back on him, which is great. He's got the slipstream. He'll have the DRS when it becomes active. This entire train is just going to be swapping places every lap.
Yeah, I mean, Florian's just taken two, going through into Parabolica and then into turn one. Phoenix Legend just a little bit out of shape there through turn one, and a bit of a mistake there from Dennis.
Back in it. I eat my words. He did fall outside the 3-second window that he needed for get on, but he has regained that. He will hope that he can stay there. Right now he's in it by about 2/10. So yeah, the more fighting he does with zones, kind of worse it gets for him. So, you know, if he's just trying to egg zones along right now, that will probably be the best for him. But here we go with Phoenix Legends on Florian. Once again, coming into turn one, he's got the overspeed, he's got the DRS, and he's managed to make moves stick about halfway down the straight. So this lap, burn everything you can and try and get that 3-second margin. He's got a 10th to find.
Oh, Rainbow's gone on Yonti. Wow, that was a beautiful move from Rainbow. Just went in towards the Scary, managed to make that work beautifully, got on the inside, and now actually Top Tom's looking to do the same thing but to Yonti. He's trying to get around the outside here. He's actually had to lift off just a touch, just to make sure that he doesn't ruin the run in towards Parabolica, because he knows P7 is potentially his. A little gap has just opened down the inside. Top Tom wants it, but he has to feather the throttle quite nicely because it will lose the back end if he doesn't. And now it's a DRS drag race all the way down towards turn one. Who's got the 1-1 wings and who's got the toe? And it looks like Top Tom is the favoured one, but Yonti has the toe. This could certainly become a big problem for Top Tom. Into the braking zone, Top Tom goes a bit deep, just gets himself ahead of Yonti, but the exit is crucial. Phoenix Legend getting himself another penalty down at the back there. Hugo's is still within the 3-second margin here of Geton, but he has to figure a way to stay within it. As we told, like you said, Geton has a lot more ERS, but he does have a car physically ahead of him that will stop him from getting the position and the time gain.
Yonti right now is actually not really losing anything because he has less penalties than the guys in front. So he hasn't really lost any of these positions that he's lost on track, provided he can stick with them and finish this race there. So he's bound to gain some positions as Hugo's is just outside that 3-second margin. Can he do it? Can he stay within that 3 seconds? He has half a 10th.
And he has no ERS. He's there 3 seconds right now as they come round the final corner. Geton makes a bit of a wobble. This might allow Hugo to return. He's back in the 3 seconds. Patrick is coming to line. He'll take the wing. Hugo's might just... He gets it! He gets the win! Hugo! Yes! What an animal! 91 thousandths of a second to lock in the race win. Hugo's is a machine.
That's just incredible. This is one of some idiots on the podium. Williams, hands down, that was incredible. Consistency, clean driving. The two Williams boys will have first and third.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Rwagnation League Grand Prix here. I know it says Monza, I assure you it isn't. It's definitely Singapore. I've definitely put in the right one, haven't I? That looks like Monza. Why are we seeing Monza? I think Beaker used the wrong video. Beaker, you let down. It is definitely Singapore. Ignore the video. We are definitely going to be racing around the streets of Singapore. Joining me tonight is meant to be Badger, but he's not very well today. So we've brought in the big gun himself, Stryfium. How you doing?
I am very excited to be back. The last race I saw was Silverstone with you in a reserve capacity. Once again here for 23 turns of intensity. You seem to be calling me on all of my favorites. I love Singapore. This circuit, the Marina Bay Street Circuit, it is. If we get rain, it's going to be a really fun dynamic. So thanks for having me here.
It's my pleasure, trust me. Now, yeah, there was a mistake obviously made in the video. It was meant to be Singapore. You meant to have all of the goodies in there, but you know it currently isn't the same. But what we will do is we'll immediately go straight over to the hot lap, so I can show you how it's meant to be done. So this is, you want to give it as a nice little lap here. So down the home straight, DRS wing wide open as you come towards turn 1. Brake at the 100-meter board and get yourself right down the gears. Clip the inside curb and the same on the next corner. And then this one, you don't really want to touch the inside curb. You want to run wide. You don't want to run too wide. They end up losing the back end, but you do need to keep it quite tidy through into this very quick right-hander, very crucial corner because you have a DRS wing wide open and a huge overtaking opportunity as you come charging down here. We've seen many overtakes done in both real and in virtual F1, and it's been fantastic. Again, brake on the meter board, get yourself down, cut the corner on the inside, do not run wide. Watch out here, this is quite tight. The wall on the left-hand side, the barriers do stick out a little bit more than you would expect, so it's very easy for you to get crashed out. But now coming up into what was the Singapore Sling, it has now been rebranded to the Singapore Fling, as you can flick it through on the left-hand side, and then again into a nice little awkward right-hander, and then a left. You want to cut the curves on all of those if you can, but this is the hairpin, which has now had, as of last year, a DRS zone added. So it's a charge right the way down here, coming up to another really hard break. As I break under the board, gets it right down the gears into gear 3, click the inside wall, and then run on out over to the next chicane. Quick charge again through here, clip both curbs, run over both of them, don't run too close to the wall on the left hand side and don't run too wide on the exit because you'll damage your wing. Again, watch out for the barrier on the right hander here as you come into the left and then right. Again, don't run wide. And you want to cut both of these corners here quite nicely. Clip that one, clip the next, don't get on the sausage curves, watch out for the wall on the right, it does come back in again, and here you want to flick it in, clip the inside curb, run out wide and just keep to the limits and then cross that line to finish a beautiful little lap there. So, Stryfium, this is a circuit that we've seen very tight racing, very difficult racing.
Yep.
What are you expecting to see here?
Well, this is one of the few street circuits that I personally feel like you can have a ton of overtaking. There's so many overtaking opportunities here. I mean, some people may disagree. The weather can play a role. If we get that roll of the dice, we get that rain. But 23 turns here around, of course, Singapore. Really, all the way through into that 14th turn out of that 13th hairpin that you were talking where they added that DRS. There's a ton of overtaking opportunity. We've seen moves into turns 13 out of that sling, or as you've said, the fling. There's just a ton of overtaking opportunities here. Turn 7 is going to be huge. Turn 1, obviously, coming out of that pit straight. It's going to be another one through into 3. There's a lot of opportunity here. And this grid, considering what we saw in Silverstone, it's a tight battle. You look at the championship fight right now, 12 points separating zones and get owned. I'm thrilled. It's going to be intense.
And we will show you the proper standings when we get into the race, which you can hear those beeps. You know exactly what that means. We are about to get going and underway with the racing action. There have been a little bit of updates since the last race. We've had one of the Red Bull drivers, Rainbow. He stepped out of the league. And also Phoenix Legend. They've both dropped out through one reason or another. But this doesn't mean that the racing is going to get any less. We've still got 18 drivers here today. We've got a driver, the reserve for Alfa Romeo, filling in today. It is Murdo Pasha, who's got to fill in for Alex Budd. He's obviously... I've not actually seen him race in a league format, I don't think, ever. So it'd be good to see what sort of indication we can get from him. But it does look to be dry, at least for the beginning. There may be rain later, as we saw earlier in the F2s. I need you to start thinking about your top 3 predictions, Trifium.
I got them already.
Oh, all right. I'll hide the standings. Go on, fire away.
You
I'm ready.
gave me a little bit more notice this time there, Chief. So I think I got myself a little bit more prepared. I got set up. I had a nice review of the standings. I had a nice review of the finish of the race. We had the beautiful highlights. Monza, thrilling race.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have Hugo's. Look, he had a stellar finish, less than a 10th at the line. I think coming off a high win like that, you're going to want to try and do yourself a solid here in qualifying. Get out in front. It's a Williams battle right now for the Constructors' Championship between McLaren. They're 8 points behind. So Hugo's, I got him on pole. Some idiot, that other Williams, these guys are hungry. They want that Constructors. I think he's going to be second next to him. He missed the front row 1-2 on that finish in Monza. So Get Owned is going to bring out the third. So you have Hugo's, Some Idiot, Get Owned. That's my top 3. Some Idiot wants to get from third to second here.
All right.
Unlike Monza.
All right. I mean, Hugo's was very well driven last week. Like, it was fantastic. And you guys, if you know, those of you that saw the hype video there, saw at the end his reaction and his team's reaction as to just how good that performance was. I mean, Some Idiot also locked in a P3. You know, from Williams' perspective, they had a fantastic race weekend, especially if you compare that to the one before that in Belgium, when we had such a horrific display from Some Idiot. And I don't mean display as in his driving, just he got, you know, in a bit of an awkward situation. It ended up with a major contact coming into Lecum. Yeah, and it just ended in tears, sadly. And then you come into Monza, and he goes and absolutely smashes it. Now, you can see on the screen the standings as the drivers are currently doing their outlaps right now. So we'll blitz through this relatively quickly. As you can see, though, the drivers' standings is still neck and neck between the top 2. That is Zones and Get Owned. But then you look at that, Some Idiot, yes, he hasn't quite got a huge amount of points in comparison to the 2 ahead of him, but he's still doing well to contribute towards his team. And in the RNL, we are more focused around the Constructors' Championship, which, if you draw your attention further down the order, you'll see McLaren, P1, but very, very closely chased by Williams there. And then you got Mercedes who are a little bit further out. Yeah, fair play. That's, you know, they're still in with a chance. We've still got a fair few races. A fair few points can be brought back into it. And then you get to the rest that are not quite there, but you do still have your own little battle going on there. Renault, Racing Point, Red Bull, Ferrari, they're all still pretty condensed in terms of points. And then you got Haas, AlphaTauri, and then Alfa Romeo, who have the 4. So, it's going to be tough. Let's be honest, it's going to be really difficult. And if I was to give you my top 3 prediction, I honestly wouldn't even know where to look. I think Patrick Sipos has proven that he has got insane qualifying skills. But the reason why I can't choose is purely because there are going to be a lot of people intentionally invalidating for majority of their laps.
I was just going to bring your attention to that because, you know, I was bringing up the 2 Williams. We had Hugo, Some Idiot. I have them as my top 2 here in quali. They were actually the first 2 drivers out of the pit lane as well. Now, you see, Hugo's, he's the third to potentially set a lap here. But these drivers, they're not going to be getting big times on. Some Idiot, he was the first driver to cross that start-finish straight. And he completely weaved offline. He wanted to invalidate it right away, have the best chance to have a clear view of what pace he's setting on these softs. But a lot of these drivers, Singapore, the tire degradation here is huge on the softs. So you're going to see a lot of these drivers, I think, wanting to get onto those mediums.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, the softs, like you say, they just get melted. The tire wear is just non-existent. I think you can last, especially if you've done a qualifying run on it, you can last sort of 5 laps, and then your tires are cooked. Like, you're pretty much at a losing point there. So yeah, majority of these guys are going to look for that medium tire qualification, which is great because we're going to be looking to see a mediums to hards. We might even see somebody go for a 2-stop potentially. If they do qualify on the softs, we're probably going to see that 2-stop strategy. And this is a circuit where overtaking is not necessarily easy, but it's not hard. You know, you've got a couple of DRS zones where you can actually go for it. There's a fair few hard braking zones where you can go for a send on the inside. We did see in the F2 cars some outside maneuvers as well that you know, they are really difficult to execute, but it is possible. So if you do go for the 2-stop strategy, you just need to get a move on pretty quickly, and I just hope that it comes back to you later on.
Hugo's, Some Idiot, they both set their times, those invalidated runs. So for Some Idiot, he was the first one to do so. It was 133.7. 133.7 coming out of Some Idiot there, and his teammate in that Williams, 133.680, 200 separating the 2 of them. Now, that's interesting to see how it may come on through with the mediums. Veneer now, 134.829, the first provisional pole time here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good starting point. It's not going to be the best time we're going to see, without a doubt. Again, it does come down to, though, what tire compound are they going to go on to? I think we're looking at sort of low 33s if they were going to do... even on the mediums, we're looking at low 33s. I think we are going to be seeing maybe somebody go on the softs and chuck themselves into the 32s. Murder Pasha has done a medium push already. Bit too soon, in my opinion, because realistically, you can't go again. You only get one set of mediums, and if you try to run them again, you're just tearing away the compound for no reason, no gain. You want to try and hold on to it as much as you can. Obviously, a fair few people have got laps in, so we're not yet going to get the indicators. A lot of people are keeping their cards close to their chest. But that is purely because they really do not want to qualify on this soft compound tire.
The softs here, it's just such a dead tire. I mean, the only time I see that tire really benefiting a racer is really late in the race, late safety car. You come in, it's the only tires you have an option to get on. It 7 to 8, maybe 9 if you're some idiot. You'll get on the softs with some solid pace, and then it's gone. You know, and
yeah.
that's on fresh softs. And you brought up the qualifying dynamic on those already.
Yeah. I mean, I actually remember in F1 2018, we had a compound of ultra softs, which on this circuit, even if they were brand new, would not last any more than 6 laps. They just got destroyed on the circuit. I mean, the one benefit these guys have that real F1 drivers don't have is their temperature is controlled purely whatever's going on in their room. If this is in real life, this track is incredibly hot. It's so humid as well. Breathing is really quite a challenge, which driving these cars alone can sometimes take your breath away. Being in an area where humidity is so high and you're going on for such a lengthy race, because I think this is actually one of the longest races in terms of time. It is just, it is such a tough and difficult task.
Yeah, the conditions the drivers go through, I think it's been publicly mentioned quite a few times by a few drivers that they consider this one of the hardest, if not the hardest, race on the calendar because of that heat, because of that, it's you're in the equator. It's hot.
Yeah, exactly. But it does also mean though that they get some of the hardest rainfall that you've seen. So it is really, really extreme environment to be in. So when if it does rain here in this race, we might see it going from gentle, nice and relaxed, and to very suddenly wet. So bear that in mind as we come through. More people still out on outlaps. Yonti has done 3 laps on this set of softs. Not that that will matter, as he will be able to switch tires regardless. But now he's just going to cruise on home and bring himself back for a new set of tires. Maybe he's got time for another soft run if he wants to. He probably won't want to though. He might just sit in now until it's actually time to go out again on the mediums. We do have other people out there. Higgsy, who's obviously invalidated intentionally. Top Tom, who hasn't invalidated yet.
Look at these drivers that set their times 1 through 6. You've got Copy, Veneer, Brownie, Sipos there, Murdo Pasha in his debut, Dennis as well. You look at the standings, you look at the back of the field and who's here today. Do you feel that if you're someone who's qualifying in a regular, let's say outside of the top 10, and you come into a circuit like Singapore and dead tires are not with the softs, do you take that opportunity to try and get ahead in the field, or do you go with the flow on tire strategy? That's a big question that I've always wondered, because can you hold that track position? Do variables come into play? Safety cars? So that's always a question I ask back of field racers, just as far as standings. I mean, RNL, tight grid, everyone's capable of getting serious position. It's anyone's race at the beginning, that's for sure. But when it comes to just approaching a race, where do you feel? Like, I know you do your league racing yourself.
Yeah, and I'm one of those backmarkers when it comes to it as well. I honestly, I am one of those sort of guys who normally tends to just go for the softest compound and just see where I end up from a qualification perspective. I end up usually around about P11, P12 anyway, so I tend not to really have an issue. But in the event that I do qualify in the top 10, it's not that bad. You just carry on as is. It's kind of like oh yeah, brilliant. Except it's Singapore. This is the only track that I would never, ever choose the softest compound tire. It is the worst mistake you can make. Even if you one stop from softs to hards, it's really difficult to make the hards go to the end of the race. The tire wear is that extreme. Even if you go for a 2-stop, it's good, but it requires you to be absolutely on it. Every single apex needs to be hit. Every single line has to be crisp. Every throttle out of a corner has to be smooth and transitioned. And it's just too difficult to do, in my opinion. Which is why the one-stop is almost always the better strategy to go on, hands down. But it also means that, yeah, you can just sort of bide your time a little bit and follow the train ahead of you. On a circuit like this, though, building a gap is pretty easy. Sector 2 and Sector 3 are so technical that people are going to make mistakes. Pulling away is quite nice and easy.
Sector 3 just loaded with those 90-degree turns. It, especially when you get that degradation on your tires, it becomes a very crucial sector where you cannot lose focus. If you lose focus, you're in a wall, you're losing an end plate, or worse, you're coming together. I'm watching Vexit right now. He's actually just entered Sector 3. Out of turn 14, he's already lost an end plate, and it's just qualifying. You know, you put that pressure, that racing pressure in the mix. It's a tough section of circuit here, Sector 3 of Marina Bay, to say the least.
Yeah. Okay, so just keep an eye out on the drivers around the track, see who can put in a good time. Obviously, more medium times are on the board. Brown is surprising, although did he do that on the... Yeah, he did it on softs. Okay, cool. The only person who's done a medium time was Murder Pasha, who's obviously P6 right now. I think Patrick Seapost is probably going to be the one on the mediums that's going to be closest to Paul. I just don't know who's going to do a lap time actually on the softs. I think even Copy's time is the time that he can beat himself on the mediums.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out right now who the next driver out to potentially get a lap in, like a proper run in here. Hugo's, he's got the mediums fitted right now. A few drivers, they have them fitted, but nobody's out flying on mediums. Copy, he's out on softs.
Yeah.
Once again.
I actually get the sneaky feeling here that a fair few of them, if not all of them, that are on the mediums will actually fuel themselves enough to be able to do 2 runs. Because this is a circuit that demands so much from the driver, that if they make a mistake, which is pretty easy to do, that they're going to want to get themselves in, switch the tyre compound up a little bit, and then get themselves right back out again to find out what the sitch is, and give themselves a little bit of protection. And I've also been informed, thank you Mr. Fossetti, that 40 seconds time is to be added to our clock in the top left because the spectator sees an incorrect time to what the drivers see.
Yes, that is 100% correct.
And it's frustrating AF.
Appreciate the nice accurate time differential though. That's I haven't had that that pleasure, but I want to take a moment to just say this qualifying session, of course, I'm sure the RNL is fully aware. You only get 1 set of medium compound tires, which makes, as Rwaggy said, when you don't want to start a race on softs, it makes that qualifying even more pressurized.
Yeah.
That's why you go out with 2 laps. You get 1 set, and if you burn them up, it's in Singapore, you are in a very tight pinch. Yeah,
I mean, the only real alternative then is you intentionally fall outside the top 10 and get on the hards to start with. I think, truth be told, if you could, you would want to start this race on hards. The hard tires are a really good starter tire. They don't have like the best grip in the world, of course, but they do have that long-lasting life that you can take quite far into the race. And I think if I remember correctly, it's like 31, 32 laps, I think. Maybe a bit more than that at the circuit. So you want to take them pretty far in. At the end, get on the medium tires to go to the end. And that's when you can give it the full beans. Your car will be much lighter. The DRS and tow will be very much utilized throughout that anyway. And that just kind of emphasizes that and allows you to properly give it. And just look at the grid. Almost everybody is currently on the medium compound tire, just waiting for an opportunity. And those that are out now are fueled and ready to go for more than 1 lap.
Yeah, Hugo's has just began. He's heading down into turn 4, and he's just ran a curb.
Yeah.
So he's cut the inside there, and this is going to cost him, and this is exactly why you overfuel, like what you said. You get out there with a couple of laps.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing to think about is that the medium tires actually need not just an outlap, but a pretty decent pace lap after that, just to get the tires up to the right temperature, because they have a much higher operating window. They take a little bit longer to warm up as well. So, you know, a good lap and a half is good enough to get your tires to the right temperature. So this isn't the end of the world for Hugo's. He just needs to make sure he doesn't generate any unnecessary tire wear. If he can keep it under control, allow himself to just keep it smooth, he should be in a really good place when it comes to his actual lap coming up soon. No rain is predicted for the race, say the RNL stewards. Thank you very much for the information. And it's also good to see that the notification system is finally working.
Major sigh of relief for the drivers when they come into a race finding that there's no rain forecast, especially around this cage of Singapore. And Hugo's, you know, he invalidated that lap probably in one of the best places you can invalidate a lap. Earlier the better, because of exactly what you said on tire degradation, fuel. You get to really prepare yourself for that next lap. Whereas if you invalidate, let's say coming through turns, 16, 17 of sector 3, you're jammed.
Yeah, exactly. It is a nightmare to recover from. But, you know, he's like you say, he managed to do it so early on that it shouldn't be a problem. But let's see if he can do it this time without touching the inside curb too much. Looks good to me. And he's kept himself out of the wall. Fantastic run through there. So this is looking to be a fantastic lap from him. People are out there getting times on. Vexit also invalidated. We've got a McLaren, which is Geton, who's just started. A Racing Point, who's just leapt up to P3 with a 34.708. Not the best time, but definitely not the worst. Higgs' teammate, Sipos Patrick, is... Oh, he's had a big crash. That's an end plate missing. Patrick Sipos may still commit to this lap, but it's going to be drastically reduced. P6 is the best he can get, and what was he? He did his on... Oh, no, he did his on 3 lap-old softs. That is disastrous for Patrick Sipos.
Yeah, the AlphaTauri garage there. Not going to be too thrilled. This has happened because he doesn't have much choice but to commit to this lap, and the big question is whether or not he'll be able to improve on that soft run. The degradation on the softs, if he doesn't improve on these mediums, it's going to be very hard for him to find his legs at the race start. Hugo's now coming through sector 3, these 90-degree turns. He's on the mediums.
Yeah, this is going to be the real indicator for us here then. We have obviously got the fastest time on a medium tyre from some idiot, which is a 33.862. But here comes Hugo's then to get himself on the board, but he goes P4 with a 133.905. Still some soft tyres up there for both Top Tom and Copy. And they look like they're intentionally going for the soft tyre strategy. So we might actually see him go for a 2-stop.
That would be a very interesting strategy option. I mean, something that you can always see play a role in these races, especially a tight circuit, street circuit, safety cars. Singapore, it's as much as it's got some decent overtaking ability in comparison to other street circuits, it's just the same as any other street circuit in the, the fact that safety car chance, it ramps up.
Yeah. It does. The Copy has just started his hot lap. Geton did set a time on the mediums, but it was only a 140.5. That was obviously a banker lap, purely to get himself a timer on the board, but he also wanted to make sure he gets those extra 2 laps in. So Yolta then, he's coming through. He did a 34.5. That was invalidated, so he's going to have to commit again to finishing another lap. Does have enough time. Remember, I know the clock says 0, but we should now just about tick over onto 0 hour. Safso has crossed the line and gone P10 and on soft tyres. He's not really found the pace today. I know he is not feeling too great. Somebody is bringing himself into the pits. And he actually looks set like he might take the win.
Yeah, he's looking good here. He's looking real good. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of Monza last week, he spoke to you about not being huge on Singapore. So this is good for him. Brownie P5, he will not be improving. It was a 134.297 out of the German. So he's on his cooldown now. He allowed the Ferrari by, I think it was Top Tom. No, I think it was Top Tom's AI. Brownie didn't know.
Striff. 1 Zones is crossing the line, but he has invalidated his lap.
Oh.
He now cannot qualify and means he will start at best P17.
This is bad news.
Very bad news.
Oh, it's even worse news now. Get owned. A 133.697 says, hello, Zones. I'll see you later, because this is exactly what the McLaren needs, Raggy.
Yep.
Wow.
Fantastic stuff from him. Yolta then, he's going to be next to cross the line, but he's invalidated as well. He's going to be starting at the back of the grid. And this is a big indicator here to show how many drivers are going to struggle coming into this race and whether or not they can get themselves consistently not getting penalties. I honestly think the 1, 2, 3 is going to be purely decided on who has the least penalties. I'm looking at Copy here. This guy, I've given him the Carlos Sainz award so many times because he is the only driver I know who never gets any screen time, but he also is the most consistent driver for no penalties.
You love to have those consistent no penalties racers. Clean drives in these league races, they are absolutely crucial. And
yeah,
you know, I've seen it. I'll just take a minute. I saw a race. It was Mexico, which we know is it's a penalty zoo, and I saw a driver go from 12th on a grid to 5th at the line. Late safety car, of course, played the role, but clean drive.
Yeah,
and
that's all they need.
Shot up.
There's a driver who, well, he's already expressed interest in wanting to come back to RNL again. He left because he had to go and focus on his studies. Hazard. I used to call him Captain Consistency because this guy would time and time again. He wasn't the fastest driver in the world, right? He wasn't slow, but he had the consistency to finish a race with 0 penalties. And I saw him get an obscene amount of podiums by just doing that alone. And speaking of podiums, here's how we look going into the race. So Geton is on pole. It's a 133.697. And more crucially, he did that on the medium compound tire. Copy on softs is in P2, with somebody on mediums in P3. Topped on P4 on softs. Then Hugo's and Brownie, 5th and 6th on mediums. Vania on softs in 7th. Yonti on mediums with Danico and Higgsy for 8, 9, and 10. And then the rest of the grid. So Safsa P11, Patrick Sipos P12, Metapasha P13, Dennis 14th, and then the no timers. So Vexit, Yolta, and Zones. And Florian, who had a qualifying ban, obviously starts at the back of the grid. Oh, I want to wait for the weather. I've been told there's no rain, but I want to see the sky. Not that we can see too much because it's dark, but I have been misled many times. I'm not seeing any obvious signs of cloud. It does look to me like it's going to be a full dry race. The strategy is going to be so key here, and I want to see how Copy and Top Tom can pull off whatever strategy they're going to pull off. Are they going to one-stop it? Are they going to two-stop it? But chat, we want to hear from you. What is your podium prediction for the end of this Grand Prix? Let us know in the chat. I'll read it out, and we'll give you a bit of a shout-out to go with it. But Strifium, what's yours? I want to hear it.
Before this race, before this qualifying even began, I told you I tried to do a little bit of due diligence, get myself nice and prepared. I actually had Some Idiot Zones Brownie written down here as my podium prediction. Now, Zones, he's in a tough spot. Get owned on pole here, puts Some Idiot into a nice position because I don't think pole's where you want to be. I think you want to be that second, third spot. Some Idiot only has one driver separating him in that front running slot, and it's a soft runner, and this is huge. I want to know if Zones goes on hards here and it switches on to a different one-stop potential strategy compared to Get Owned. That's what I want to know. But yeah, definitely Some Idiot, Zones, Brownie. That's my top 3.
It's a good shout. That's Strifium's prediction, and I'm looking at the chat. I'm seeing some more. So Just Chillin' gives us a prediction of Geto and P1, Some Idiot P2, and Copy P3. WG Players says Vexit P1, Some Idiot P2, with Zones making a recovery to get to P3. Freeware says Geto and P1, Some Idiot P2, Zones P3. So again, another miraculous recovery because he's going to need it. And then Noosa gives us Patrick Sipos P1, Geto and P2, Yonti P3. And then finally, Blank gives us one saying Geto and P1, Some Idiot P2, Copy P3. So it's looking like pretty much everybody is saying Geton is going to make it to the end. Everyone is saying Some Idiot will make it to the end. And then a couple of people think Copy might be able to pull this one over. Now, Copy starting so far up the grid does help him out quite a lot, because normally he starts sort of mid-pack, maybe a little bit further back, and he does get himself caught up in some moments of issues on this circuit. Now, looking at the predicted pit stop, lap 11 is where we suspect people are going to come in to get off the mediums and onto the hards. And Geton is really speeding around this formation lap.
He is, for sure. He is. Copy, Tom, Veneer, the only 3 drivers in the entirety of this grid on the softs, mediums, hards, through the rest of the order. And these are the drivers in Singapore that I like to call the gamblers, because really what they're gambling for here is a safety car. I think that If they have a good race start, that's solid. If they can hold some position, that's good. But if they really, really want to get the meat, they want to get those serious points, safety car is going to need to come out here at some point, and it's going to need to come out when they're on those softs.
Yeah, exactly. That is going to be the main sort of helping hand, but they don't want it to happen straight away. They want to build up a little bit of a gap. You know, it's coming towards the, ideally for them, those that are on the softs, they want it to be around about lap 4, lap 5, when the softs are just dropping away. Get themselves in, switch tire compounds, and off you go again. Now, Patrick Seapost did get given a huge lifeline by the other drivers, knocking him out of the top 10. Meant that he didn't have to start the race on 3-lap-old softs. He now has to start the race, yes, a bit further down, but on the harder compound tyre, he's gone for hards. So looking at it, those outside the top 10, all bar one, have gone for the hards. Murder Pasha, the only person who started on the mediums. But we are here then, on the Singapore grid, ready to get cracking with this Grand Prix. And it's go time. The lights have gone out, but no one's moving yet because there's the delay, and off we go. Copy has got a nice little start there. I would expect that when he's on these soft compound tyres. He's actually looking down the inside for Get Home, but he might not be able to make it. And actually, he's under attack here from some idiot who's just gone side by side with him coming in towards turn 3. He needs the better exit if he can get it. He's going to be locked in, but he's had a bit of a scare. He might have even had wing damage there. No, he's not. He's okay. But he's having a lot of issues now, and the grid is really condensed.
Really condensed. The Alfa Romeos are really tight right now. There's been an issue. Oh, it looked as if there was a car that's gone into the wall here. It might have been one of the Alphas having an issue there. Dennis now, he's on the outside heading into turn 7. Saipos defending on the inside hard here. Danny Co in 8th has Safso, excuse me, in his rear views.
This is very tense. A lot of cars side by side. I mean, I've just seen Florian and Yolta going side by side as well. Florian's had a really good start to get himself up the couple of places he needed. He's gone up 1. The biggest winners so far, it's currently tied, is Dennis and Zones, who've claimed 3 places each. The biggest loser so far is Yonti, who's fallen down from P8 down to P12. So disaster for him. Oh, look at this. AlphaTauri, Higgsy going around the outside of one Haas. That is Yonti. But he couldn't quite make that one stick. And the ERS levels are starting to get burnt away. Florian and Yolta having a bit of a drag race here into the breaker zone, almost into the back of Murder Pasha. Very wide run there from Florian, and they've kept it clean.
Zones, he had a look at Higgsy through 14. I think it might have cost him a little bit of overall time right now. Higgsy struggling through out of 15. 16, 17 now. Zones is into 13th position, and he's made up 4 slots. This is huge. He needs to keep cutting through this field. He's on the hards. He did end up going for that reverse strategy to where Get Owen landed, and now Tom has had an issue that he's coming. He's already getting off these softs.
This is an interesting decision. He's gone to mediums. He has had, I believe, a front wing change. It's sad for him there, but Danico, he's about to get past, or I don't know if he was passing or getting passed by one Vanier, who's on the softs. They've gone side by side. I think Danico has actually got that one back. He's up now to P6, 3 places gained. This is fantastic stuff for him.
Veneer not going to be thrilled about that. The rubber's burning. The rubber's burning, and he does not want to have a medium runner in his crosshairs right now. He wants him in the rear view. And the gap, nearly 2 seconds from Danico to the rest of this field. And that separation is even worse for a soft runner, let alone, I mean, you have Safso, Saipos, Dennis now in your top 10 behind this train.
Yeah. Oh, Murder Pasha, big mistake into massive crash. Yolta's been collected. He's gone as well. I think he survived. He's still alive. But Florian has had a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Yolta as safety car has been called. This is massive for the likes of Copy.
Copy's not going to be, Copy's going to be thrilled. I was going to say some idiot, on the other hand. I think he's going to be a little frustrated that he hasn't passed Copy here, but it's so early. I actually don't know if what tires, if Copy comes in off these softs, mediums, hards, it's a very early safety car, and with it, it's a 31 lap race. Oh man, that was a big crash, Raggy. That was
that would have been a red flag if that was IRL. That would have been 100% a red flag. That was a huge moment. Copy is in the pits as we expected. I would suspect now he's going mediums. It looks like mediums to me. Yep, they are mediums. I just don't see how he gets out of this now, because he's going to have to go mediums, which he does have the option to do, and that's probably going to be the best strategy for him, as Florian is in as well. A lot more people in than I expected. Vanya, Murderpasha, Florian, and Yolta, I expected those two in. And they can serve the 5-second penalty that they got here.
I am 99.9% positive when Top Tom came in for that fresh set of mediums, he didn't get a wing change. So he's into 13th position. He didn't lose an additional, set of time. This is kind of, realistically, it's a safety car undercut that has kind of worked out. He's going to catch the safety car now. He's going to be behind Copy.
Yep. We also have lost Vexit. So apparently Vexit crashed into the pit wall, which is what then caused him to DNF from this Grand Prix. So sad and heartbreaking times, but yeah, he's out.
Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. And something I always like in these races is if there was any clouds in the sky as you checked, is sometimes safety car can flip the coin a bit, but it's still pretty clear.
Yeah, no rain in sight. Like we said, we have been informed from the stewards earlier that there is no expectation that we're going to be seeing any rain. However, Get Earned, who did start in pole position, has been able to hold on to pole position. Let's have a quick look at the position changes. There are a fair few for those up near the front. Zones has gained 7 from when he started. Dennis has gained 6. Patrick Seepers has gained 5. And Safso has gained 5. And the incident between Murderpasha, Yolta, Vexit, and Florian will be investigated after the race. So there's a lot to investigate there, to be honest. I think that's probably the right call. You got to make sure the decision is a very clear-cut one, and that's one you can't mess about with.
Anytime multiple cars are involved like that, you really don't want to be quick to pull the trigger on a decision as a steward, and you got to respect the fact that they know that better than anybody. They'll review, and tough incidents, especially through that section of circuit. That's definitely a hot zone.
Indeed. But Williams, look at them. P2, P3. They're having a fantastic start to this Grand Prix. They could not have asked for a better situation if they tried. Brownie, one of the two Renaults, the other one who we saw getting involved in that massive crash. He also did have issues in the qualifying in the first place. As we saw, he just kept invalidating, wasn't able to get a time on the board. Whereas his teammate did actually a relatively good job considering. And now he's up to P4. All he has to do is just manage this. However, I cannot take my attention away from those guys on the hards. They are looking so good to do that alternate strategy. And with this safety car being out here means they can push their hards even further, which means they can go even harder when they get onto the mediums. They can just give it the full beans. They don't need to hold back. They can just properly nail every apex, every line, and every exit of every corner.
It is only 4 drivers in this entire grid on those tires too, and it's really going to be interesting to see the tire drop off in comparison for the drivers that are on the 3-lap old hards. I want to take attention to Sipos for a minute. Patrick in 7th, he was in if I'm in his seat, it's been an emotional joyride because he was at a point of risk where he might have had to start this race 3-lap old softs. He started it and on the hards. He's now in 7th. He got kicked back into that outside of that top 10 to get that free tire choice, and it's working out very well for him considering he finished in 4th last week. I'm really starting to think he could be on for a solid result here with that long hard stint.
Yep, agreed. But as you saw, the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, which is why Getern is back in the pack right on up. Now the people need to be careful. The Williams guys will be communicating to each other, especially with the help of their race engineer, who will be ensuring they keep the space, don't get any unnecessary wing damage, and more importantly, don't hit each other, because that would be less than ideal. But Getone will need to choose the opportune moment to just bolt the second he can catch them off guard. He wants to try and do it in an area where they least expect it, which looks like he's going now. Okay, he has shot away now. Somebody has got us chasing him down as well. He's kind of been caught out a little bit there, to be honest. Hugo's is still with him, so he can actually still utilize this, but he has to be careful. Somebody cannot fall outside that 1 second margin, otherwise DRS will no longer be a thing for him, and he will get hunted down as Yolta getting himself a 3-second time penalty.
Oh, zones. He gets through on Yanti, moving through turns 1 and 2. Top Tom He's on a charge, Raggy. Copy. He's dropped to the Ferrari, as has Higgsy. So Top Tom's moved up 2 positions on this restart already. He came in with that little bit of an undercut on the safety car. He's already just hunting down the Haas of Jonty as we move into turn 7, but no move just yet.
No, not yet. And Tom looks so good. Oh, I mean, bear in mind, Copy was P2 when we started this race. And even when he came into the pits, he was still in P2. But Tom was a bit further down. Pitted early, like you said, got himself onto the mediums, and he's actually 2 places ahead of Copy now.
Yeah, killer position for him right now. He's got that instinct, and he's hunting down that final points position. Coming into 13 right now, this is where things can happen. Bit of locking up from a few of these racers. Jonty almost went into the rear of Zones, and Top Tom saw it. But thankfully, no contact. Sipos is tight coming into 14 here. Safso is in his crosshairs, and we'll have to see what the differential happens between these two in a few laps' time.
Yep. This is looking very difficult here. Oh, I mean, this is a really tough track to drive on its own. You know, if you used to do laps around here all the time, this is somewhere that is really tense and really tight. Now they're racing on it. It's even harder. Yellow flag sector 3. That is Murder Pasha, who has had an issue. He's trying to keep himself going. I think he's got wing damage. But he is still... No, yeah, he's all right. Okay, no wing damage.
Zones 9th. Looking at Dennis. Coming out of turn 3. This is a possibility. We don't have DRS just yet, if I'm not mistaken. We've got to wait one more trip around. It's a long lap around here.
Yeah, this isn't like Brazil or Austria where the lap times are really quick. This is going to be now a bit of a drag race between them. If Zones had the momentum, and he's burning a lot of VRS to do this. Oh, he had a look down the inside, but he's not quite committed to it. He was a bit too far back anyway, so it would have been a bit of a suicide dive if he had tried. But he is getting held back now by this train ahead of him. He has to work through them. But being on these hard compound tyres means he doesn't have to worry too much about whether or not he gets past this grid. He just has to try and maintain pace and not get wing damage.
Trying to keep it clean. Yeah, the Alfa Romeo, unfortunate debut, struggling here, but it's a learning experience. Singapore, it's probably the last circuit you would like to make a debut on. Yep. Sipos now, Safso, less than 3/10. He looks at that inside, but there just isn't enough in it.
Oh,
Zones has
no!
Oh, no!
Oh, there's more contact, and they're just rolling across the track, and they're just collecting cars. Zones, put the brake pedal on. You've just caused way more damage than you needed to. Your virtual safety car has been called. Zones clipped his teammate as well as Copy, and now Vanier has a 5-second penalty for collision with Copy. I've got a feeling Zones is going to get in a fair bit of trouble for that.
That was a... It was a move down the inside, if I'm not mistaken, through 14, resulting in a little bit of contact. And then there was... It's a tight circuit. It's hard to recover. Oh, it was almost like fish in a net there, Rwaggy. The cars coming behind. It was so tough to watch that. And the stewards have their hands full today. That is for sure.
I mean, look at the pit lane. Look at how many people have gone into the pit lane. I mean... Zones has chucked himself into the pits. He has also got a speeding penalty. He's getting a full tyre set and wing replaced. And away he goes. Get earned! Not again! Not again, get earned! How could you do this?
Oh my.
How?
Rwaggy.
He's got a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. This guy was on a win position. He's thrown that away now, and he can't serve it until... Well, the safety car's gone already. We are back racing, but
man.
He's in trouble. He's in so much trouble.
I imagine the fact that not a full safety car... Oh, Sipos, he's hunting Safso. He's just stepped in at 3-second time penalty. He's coming in around the outside of 13. A lockup from Safso there. Does he get this through on the inside? What an exit coming out of the AlphaTauri. Safso, a little bit of a struggle there, and Sipos will be very happy about that. Tom, he's in 6th. He's in 6th. Yep. He's looking at this 2-lap fresh rubber compared to Safso as well.
This is going to be such a good run for Tom. He just has to keep this clean and consistent. He also needs to not get involved in any necessary battles, which he looked like he was going to try down the inside there on Safso. That would have been less than ideal had he actually gone for it. We are still keeping it pretty neck and neck. And again, the DRS does stay on. It doesn't get deactivated when the virtual safety car comes out. So we will see it now as Safso makes a bit of a mistake there coming through the final corner. He's going to have to go defensive now as here comes Top Tom around the outside in towards turn 1. He's going to have to stick this one tight. I think there's contact. It might have been just minor, but he has somehow locked that position in. And now he's still within DRS range of Patrick here. So he should still be able to close this back in again and then line up P4.
That would be crucial for him, given the life he has in these mediums right now. I don't believe there was any contact. Tom, you got to respect him. He was trying to give Safso as much space. I think they were just trying to keep that as clean as possible. He ran a little bit wide through 2. Perhaps a warning, but no penalty right
Dennis.
now. Zeltek.
Look at Dennis and Yonsei. They've just both passed Murder Pasha, but Dennis actually looked like he was going to go for Yonsei, and he might still go for it because Yonsei is all out of shape going through turn 1, 2, and 3. Zones has been given a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision with Dennis on lap 6. So big and more bad news there for Zones. Heartbreaking, but Dennis is now looking again at Yonsei. This is the most fired up I've seen Dennis in a very long time. Around the outside, but coming into the inside for this left-hander. Has to get the car slowed down. Yonsei decides, yep, there's no point in me fighting that. Off you go. Enjoy P13.
Textbook.
I'll see you in a bit.
That was a beautiful textbook move. Down the inside, clear ahead into the apex. Just holding it well. And, you know, nothing that the driver can do on that defense, so just let him through.
Yeah, exactly. And Top Tom, like we said, because of how quickly he managed to make that move stick on Safso, he is now in position where he's very close to the back of Patrick. The tire grips, will be favoured to Top Tom, and also Zones receives a further penalty, a 10-second time penalty for reversing on track.
Oh man.
Yeah, and he caused a fair few collisions there. That was very. I think that's a fair penalty. Absolutely. It caused, and not only did he cause 2 people one of the major issues in their race, he also caused his teammate issues, which, you know, if Toto Wolff was managing the team, he'd be having a word. Top Tom go for a move here on Patrick Sipos. Had a bit of a shaky exit through that corner, but with the DRS and the overspeed he's carrying, he is able to get up now to P4, and he's actually just on the edge.
Tech on the inside of Safso. A big lunge coming out of Zeltek there. I don't think that Safso was planning to defend it as hard as maybe Zeltek thought he might have, but hard on the brakes, bit of a lockup, but he gets that move into 6th.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these medium runners are really banking on there being another safety car. I mean, we've seen a full safety car, we've seen a virtual safety car, but they need another in order to really reel this one back. Zones, who's still on a tear from earlier, he's got very little ERS, and he's actually looking for a move here on Florian. It's going to have to be an outside maneuver. Oh, he's just about kept himself alongside, but now he's going to have to go really tight and force Florian as far out wide as he can without causing contact. There was a bit of a nudge there, but Florian holds on to P15. Surely Zones is going to get him. He's just continuously attacking over and over and over again. He's going to have to wait a little bit longer than for now until he gets to that DRS zone.
Right now, just coming through turn 21, 22, 23 for Danico. He's got Top Tom breathing down his neck. DRS now in utilization. The Ferrari is on a charge. Patrick Sipos just less than a second on the rear of this on those hards, and
Top
the
Tom.
difference. Top Tom. Oh no, that's going to cost him massively.
Well, yeah. I mean, it has and it hasn't. He did catch it. He kept himself out of the wall. It could have been way worse. But the crucial factor is he's kept himself just within, or now he's on the limit of that 1 second margin. So as long as his sector 2 and 3 are clean, he can recover that. The one thing he can't recover is the tie wear that he got throughout that lap. As Higgs is making a move here on Safso, nice and surgical. I don't think there's going to be any sort of fight back there from Safso. I think that's the right call there. Just let him go. Sit on the back of him if you can. Stay within his DRS. And just see what comes to you later.
Get owned. Has caught up with his teammate of Florian now, and Get owned now behind Zones. Of course, there's the penalties handed down to the Mercedes driver from the stewards, but
yeah,
there isn't a lot of separation between these drivers. Get owned without any penalties will be in a good position here. 2-lap-old hards. He's just dispatched his teammate with ease through 7.
Pasha getting a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Here goes on the back now of Vanier. He doesn't look like he's trying to go for an overtake here. I think we're going to be seeing him coming out of turn 5 going for that overtake on that long DRS straight, and that's the most sensible place to do it. In his current scenario, he's not really losing too much. I mean, his teammate, somebody is doing a pretty long run on these mediums. And he's going to be then moving to the hards a little bit later on. I think, like we said, the AWS Inside graphics said if you're going to go mediums to hards, lap 11 is the lap to do it. We'll see whether or not he listens. Saf's again 3-second time penalty, and Patrick Sipos ready to attack Danico.
Penalty 6 seconds for Sipos now. Yeltek 3, Safso's got 3, Copy, Veneer 5 apiece. We've got Zones way down the grid with his own issues after that unfortunate incident, and then we have Murdo Pasha, who's been having an up and down experience this evening in Singapore.
Dennis getting himself on that penalty board as well. He's not having a fantastic time. And Copy has actually just made a quick work there of Safso, who also, again, he's playing the tyre strategy game here. He's playing, I don't want to lose anything. I'm not going to lose anything. I'm going to keep my tyres very well looked after and just see how well I do when I get on those hards later. Vanier, like I said, just lost out to Hugo's. I was expecting it to be done where it was, and yeah, it was done nice and simply. Hugo's up to P10 now.
Top Tom 5th. He's back within a serious range of Sipos, and Sipos has been able to stick well with Danico, and this is music to the Ferrari's ears right now. There's a little bit of a look from Sipos heading through 14. Top Tom, he's rubbing his hands together here. He's waiting for an opportunistic moment. He's waiting for that door to open. He wants these two to do the dance. He wants to see them in the tango.
Ooh. Yeah, it looked like both Danico and Patrick just kissed the wall there. I mean, it didn't affect them at all. Top Tom is really aggressive through that chicane, and that's caused him to be a bit unstable on the exit. He really just carried too much momentum there. His back end is getting very lively. Watch out now as he comes in towards turn 1, 2, 3. He does not want to have a recreation of what happened last time, and it looked like he just got on the throttle a bit too much. Didn't quite carry the line through the corner. He's okay here though. No recreation of the last lap. Now, Patrick Sipos is going to look for Danico. Danico has to be careful because he may just lose 2 places if he's not maintaining his ERS correctly, which he isn't doing too bad on. Patrick has got a much better ERS battery, whereas Top Tom doesn't have any. Danico defends and lives to see P3 at least for another lap, or at least for now, because Patrick Sipos might go for a move. He is very close to the back of him. Top Tom's having a little gander down the inside as well, but there's no room for him to go. And, Patrick had a look. There's no opportunity. He's just sticking his nose in, just scaring him a little bit. And this has allowed Yolta to get involved in this now. It's now a 4-car battle for P3. Bear in mind, at the start of this Grand Prix, Yolta was in 16th place. He's claimed 10 positions. Oh, it's Patrick Toffler moved down the inside of Danico. There's contact with the wall. This might allow Top Tom through. It has. Yolta might even get through here as it goes through and the charging its way down. Yes, he has. He's ahead 2 now. So Patrick has lost out 2 places from that one little kiss of the wall. And that's sometimes how it be in Formula 1.
Yeah, you get around that inside. You know where you really see that a lot? I'm sure you can agree. Monaco coming out of the tunnel.
Yeah. And when you get down to that chicane there, that's a nightmare. I've done that even without people fighting me. I just clip that and I'm done. And then you could do it again on the corner straight after that. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, 13 here in Singapore. It reminds me of that. It's almost the same corner realistically. You catch that center of the car. Brownie comes into the pit lane now.
Yeah.
Top Tom is into a nice P2 running position. He started this campaign in 4th. He came in, his strategy today, it's putting him into some seriously good position. He had that little slip up coming out of 2 through 3. You know, it's hard to see where he'd be relative to Some Idiot right now. Some Idiot, he's having quite the stint on these mediums, and we saw Sipos struggling a bit on those hards.
I think Brownie had a spin coming out of the pit lane. Has he got damaged wing?
Taking a look now.
Yeah, he does.
My.
Brownie had an issue coming out of the pit lane. I think he hit the... Oh, no. When you come out of the pit lane, there's like a left hand you got to take, and it's really tight and very easy to hit the wall. He has hit the wall and damaged his left wing so bad, there is no way he can continue with that. He's going to have to box again.
That is a really tough position to be in. You come out of second. You come out of second position. You're on a solid strat. You get onto a nice long stint set of tires, these hards, and then half your left wing's gone. Yeah.
I mean, it was just one slight slip on the throttle there, and you find yourself in a wall, which is less than ideal, and that's exactly where he ended up. Geton is committed to recovering his race. He is P13, but the good news is his championship rival is not in with great position, let's be honest. P11 is where he sits right now. Brownie losing more places due to that wing damage. However, when you look at the constructors, as it stands, Williams will take constructors' lead if it stays like this for the end of this GP.
Dennis getting ahead of Brownie now. Some idiot will be thrilled about that. I actually had said to him following RNL last week, I said, solid drive out of you and Hugo's. And he's like, we're after the constructors.
Yeah.
So he wants it.
Yeah, he knows the drivers is just out of reach now, but the main prize goes to the constructors anyway. So they are hotly focused on it. Their whole team has been very good. They work really well together. They've got like a 4-man squad going on at Williams. They've got Yenab and Forsetti as the race engineers and reserve. It's just so good to see. They are a properly well-oiled machine. And I want to see more of that continue. Brownie, obviously, into the pits, has decided to go mediums to the end, or at least mediums until they can't go any further. As here comes Ghetto down the inside of Yonti, coming into the hard braking zone. He's got it done. He's ran a bit wide. Yonti's coming right back at him. Yonti's going to snatch that back, but Galen's going very deep, very tight to the wall. Very nearly contact with Yonti in the wall there, but Ghetto has stayed in P12. That has compromised Yonti's line, though, through that corner. And he, again, now is going to allow Ghetto to have a really good drag race coming out of it. Oh, a little bit of a contact between the two of them. I think they're okay, though. No real disaster for either driver, but a bit of a scare there for Yonti.
It is we've already seen a little bit of issues through that section of circuit in this race. Get owned, Yonti, big respect to the both of them, keeping it clean, no contact, just tight, hard racing, and you love to see it. Some idiot now, he's come into the pit lane. He's getting off these very old mediums now. He's ran 14 laps on them, and he's going on to the hards. See where he falls out here. Copy moves into 4th now. Hugo's is advanced.
Oh, Pasha's crashed again. Or I don't think he crashed, sorry. I think he just made a mistake on the braking zone and ended up having to use the runoff area. So he is really not having a particularly great race here. He's struggling. He was called in at last minute, so you have to give him that little waiver, I guess you want to call it. But Top Tom is now race leader, obviously with some idiot boxing. And they're actually, if you look at the difference, so Hugo's came in 7 laps earlier than some idiot. Some idiot is 5.5 seconds behind his teammate, but as the race goes on, those tyres will start to come to be a much better compound of tyre than what his teammate has got. 9 seconds of penalties now for Patrick Sipos. He really needs to rein that consistency in.
That's a tough call for what I think it was Silverstone. I had been watching the site post as well, and there had been a little bit of a penalty run in for him in that race. Murdo Pasha has retired
Safety
massively, and there's that's huge. That's huge news here in Singapore. Lap 15, safety car, Top Tom P1 on 12-lap old mediums. He is going to be thrilled, absolutely thrilled about this, and all of the drivers behind him. We were just talking about the penalties. A driver like Sipos, 9 seconds. This is the last thing you want. The last thing you want. Copy's 10 seconds behind him.
This has put a huge spanner in the works there for Williams. They had that strategy locked down. They looked dead set on taking P12, and no one could snap that away from them. But if you look at it now, Top Tom, who's on his way out, Hugo's is in. So somebody is out. Is he actually going to take race lead? I don't think. Yes, he is. Okay.
Yeah, I think he is.
So somebody has resumed race lead, but the task he's got on his hands now is he has got guys on the medium compound tire hot on his backside, and they only have to do 15 laps.
I want to see where Hugo's comes out here, because he's been given an opportunity to get on some fresh mediums as well. And if he's able to, we get that bunched up safety car grid here. If he's able to cut through the field a little bit and get himself into maybe we'll see another Williams 1-3, but he needs to get himself into a position where he can help out some idiot and maybe apply some pressure to medium runners as well, because some idiot really needs a Rubens Barrichello here. He really needs to come through here, defend Top Tom. He really likes these medium tires. That's something we know for certain. Now he's on a fresh set to the end, and this is going to be the better tire for majority of this final stint, potentially for the entirety of this stint. Some idiot, we know what he's like on tire wear, so this could be there's so many variables. You can,
Yeah.
what if all day, but the safety cars come out at such a crucial moment. It's still anyone's race.
This is the point, exactly. The worry though is that the medium tires will start to become quite poor towards the end of the race, like the last final few laps. Especially with the way that Top Tom and Yolta drive, they're very rear focused. They're very heavy on the accelerator as they come out of corners. They're just very good at controlling that drift. So, yes, it destroys your tires. Yes, it makes you so much faster. But if you destroy your tires too much, you're going to be at risk of a puncture coming towards the end of this Grand Prix. And Sommidia's pace will start to pick up even more in comparison to the others as they get further in, because the hards will go much further than the mediums. That being said, though, I have a feeling Sommidia isn't necessarily going to fight to defend against these two behind him, because he's better at chasing people. That is his perfect scenario. He follows somebody, he stays in their lines, he follows for the easy run on the ERS. He also gets DRS all day long. And later on in the race, he can just go, okay, well, my battery is fully charged. I'm going to just take over now. Enjoy the rest of your race. So this isn't over yet for Sommidia, not even slightly. This is going to be crazy.
I was just saying in the chat how this is easily one of the top 3 best Singapore races I've had a chance to see, and it's about these monkey wrenches, these curveballs that we keep getting thrown. I keep trying to formulate strategy, figure out where things may land, give myself a bit of a prediction, a sense. But every single time I get close, Rwaggy, it's just nope, reshuffle.
Exactly. I do like the strategy call here from Williams. Pitting Hugo's was key. Yes, he's P6 and he loses a little bit of positions overall. But he's on brand spanking new mediums, and he has the natural pace. There are 2 drivers ahead of him that do have penalties. In fact, let's look at that. 9 seconds for Patrick Sipos, 3 seconds for Yolta. We know now how Hugo's can take this race down. He just has to maintain the consistency, allow Sipos to get aggressive with the drivers ahead and start making moves there. Maybe open up some gateways for Hugo's to follow him through and take those positions at the same time. But Hugo's cannot afford to get involved in any fight whatsoever. He has to make it every overtake he makes calculated and consistent, and then get right through to the end of this Grand Prix. He might be able to join his teammate on that podium, and that's again if Sommidia has the pace, which I think he does, on these hards to hold it down.
Get owned P11 right now, 12 points away from zones in this standings in this drivers' championship. And you look that there's only 1 driver between the 2 of them right now. Of course, Zones, he has some penalties that he'll have to contend with after. But as far as the race right now is concerned, he's right on the rear of Get Owned. If you're Get Owned right now, Rwaggy, how worried are you about this Mercedes?
Very, truth be told, very. Because, you know, it's one thing to do well. It's one thing to screw your own races. You know what I mean? If you get taken out by somebody else, you can be mad at them. But when you've done it yourself, and that's twice now. He's done that twice. He's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. He did it in Belgium, and he did it again here today. That's 2 races. He could have scored big. He could have won this race, truth be told. He was looking so quick. No one was able to keep up with him, and he just seemed to be flying away. But getting that drive-through, just basically shot himself in both feet, and yeah, well, look at him now. He's donezo, but we are back racing then. Sommidia has decided it's time to get going. Top Tom hasn't been caught out. He's decided to stay pretty close to him, but Sommidia, he got very sideways there. Yellow flags in all 3 sectors. I don't think we're seeing another safety car. I think it's just a yellow flag and nothing to worry about. Everybody seems to be okay, but we have had issues further down because Vanier and Copy look to have had some sort of problem. Vanier is making a huge gap between them and the top 6. Motor Pasha is under investigation for intentionally retiring on track and causing a safety car as a result. So there is a belief that that was intentional. I'll have to wait and see what they say. Top Tom looking for Sommidia now. Is this going to be a maneuver down the inside? It looks like the answer is no, but Sommidia has locked up. This might be Top Tom coming for a bit of a flick here. Not in this right-hander, but maybe in the left. He's so close to the back of him. Patrick Sipos going side by side with Danico as well. This is going to be a swap of positions more than likely as here comes Patrick. Danico goes deep. Patrick can see the opportunity, can smell the blood. Where is Hugo's in all this? He's just sat here watching it as Patrick goes through. Has to watch out for Danico's return to the track here. And that will be Patrick up to P4. Sommidia holding on to P1. But, I mean, this is literally by the skin of his teeth.
Get Owned is giving himself a nice level, well, another level of separation, we'll say, from zones behind. Danico now. Hugo's has made his way ahead of him into the 14th turn. A neat move there, a little bit deep from Hugo's. I think everybody on this lap getting a handle on the tires because they're all coming off of worn tires. So they're braking hard now. They're really getting a feel for the grip. Get owned. He's really tight to copy. He wants to cut this grid up as best he can. Zones not able to dispatch the Haas of Yonti just yet. Top Tom just locked in on some idiot for this lead.
Yeah, Top Tom is really going to give it everything now. And we are only one lap away from getting DRS re-enabled again, which is where somebody is going to be pretty much stuck. There's not a lot you can do here. Patrick Sipos getting another time penalty, which is great news for the drivers behind him, but bad news if you're an AlphaTauri fan, especially as Higgsy, who has had a disconnect from the game, is down in P16. Some idiot now then is at huge risk. No DRS available, but a lot of tow, a lot of VRS. Somebody goes defensive. That might have been a bit too defensive here. I can't actually see where he is. He's still alongside of him. Is somebody going to stick this one through? He's trying to hang on to the inside. He cannot get it. And Top Tom is now your race leader. But Yolta, right on the back of this. This train is so condensed all the way down to P5 that Hugo's might actually get an opportunity to get aggressive here, and maybe on Patrick Sipos on the next DRS line. Top Tom has to go defensive. I don't know exactly why, because somebody is a bit too far back, and Top Tom does have that extra pace in those tyres, which means he will hold on to P1 and start to build a gap. Some idiot cannot allow this to happen.
It was a really nice defensive effort from some idiot there coming down through 6. He tried to keep that car on the inside as long as he could there. He wanted to expose the run back for Top Tom to go around the outside. He wanted to have that inside, but Top Tom had so much speed. That snap out to the outside, clear-cut move in the lead of this race, neatly done, and some idiot on those hards. There's really isn't much he can do about it. Yeltec right now, Sipos, Hugo's in this train behind him. The only thing that some idiot's got going for him right now is that he has Hugo's as his rear gunner. He's got Hugo's behind him in 5th. Yeltec, Sipos, they've got penalties to contend with. If the Williams are able to keep this clean, it's very well possible we could see them on the podium, but they've got Danico. He's on these hards, holding up a big train of medium runners as well. And if some idiot falls into 5th, Danico, let's say he gets overtaken. Oh man, it is just,
yeah.
You know, the door is open.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Once it's open once, it's going to be open for a fair few people. And yeah, now we're going to start to see overtakes happening. Yolta gets a little bit sideways there through that exit, which hasn't really opened him an opportunity on Sumidia, but he has kind of opened an opportunity here for Patrick to look for him. Yolta goes onto the inside because he has to defend here. Now Patrick's going around the outside. This is a maneuver and a half if he could pull it. What a move from Patrick Sipos up to P3. Yes, he's got a lot of penalties, but he's also got a lot of skill.
That was a heck of a maneuver there. I have to say, Yeltec, he stepped in it with that one. He opened the door. Sipos said, oh, thanks, buddy. Thanks. I'm just going to move on through. He's into 3rd. You love to see those moves. You love to see those opportunistic advantage-taking opportunities. I love it. I love it.
It's high risk, high reward, but yeah, that's what we look for here. Some idiot is under attack again now from Patrick Sipos instead of the yellow banana car that is Yolta in the Renault. That gap is only extending between him and Top Tom. How do Williams...
There's been a big issue. Danico's been tapped. Copy's into 6th. The door's been open. It would seem, or it's been completely shut. 3.6 now to Hugo's from Copy. Danico's into 15th position.
This is heartbreaking. Absolute heartbreaking. And yeah, now this train is just going to get even more lively than it has been before. Top Tom is absolutely flying. He's trying to take off. Patrick Sipos is looking for some idiot in towards turn 1. It's going to be all about a battle of the brakes, and somebody backs out because he knows this could go very wrong for him, and he does not want any of that, especially when you've got Yolta and Hugo's behind. What some idiot needs to try and do here is allow Hugo's to get ahead of Yolta somehow, and then start opening the doors for him. But now with the DRS being available on this straight, this is where some idiot can actually use this. Hang on to Patrick Sipos and see what he can get later on from this. You got Ghetto and good for a move here on Copy. That is him up now to P6. We also have Dennis maybe looking at Vanier here. That both of them have DRS. He's not quite close enough. As Zones and Florian are swapping places. Florian's up to P11. Zones, who has, remember, 15 seconds of penalties to be added at the end of the race from those stewards, along with his already existing penalties, which he got of 5. So he is looking pretty much no chance of any points. He is done and dusted in this race.
Yeah, he served 5 in the pits as well already in this campaign, and it's just been a tough drive out of the Mercedes today. Veneer, however, faring a little bit better. 8th position. Copy now in his view.
Oh, Hugo's! Down the inside of Yolta. Yolta gets squeezed to the edge. There's contact between them, but that is very cleanly done. And Hugo's now up to P4. So somebody did exactly what is needed to allow Yolta to be backed up enough and bring forward Hugo's. This is how Williams get out of this now. Williams were at risk of losing this race because some idiot couldn't keep the pace on the hards. That's not necessarily his fault. He's just struggling against these guys around him. Now, some idiot can use his teammate, pull him up to him, allow him past, and then he can then charge following his teammate and just making it as easy as possible. However, Hugo's really needs to get a move on and get gone. We have lost the driver. That's Yonti in the wall.
Oh, dear. Yeah, that Haas, I'm trying to find damage. Yeah, front right, it would seem. No end plate there. Significant amount of damage on the front end. Yeah, he's not going to be thrilled about that. Hugo's some idiot now. They've exchanged, and something I want to talk about is the fact that Sipos is actually crunching the gap to Top Tom. If those two fight, the Williams are going to be absolutely thrilled about it, Rwaggy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Patrick needs to build up as much of a gap as he can, and we've had more issues. That is Florian, who's had contact with Dennis, it looks like, and he's going to come back across the track. Oh my word, he almost catches Safso. I mean, Florian did a little bit of a pirouette there in the middle of the circuit, but that very nearly caused another major collision. Danico is gaining a position on Yonti, up to P14, and Singapore, we already talked about it earlier and how it's a very difficult track to do, even on your own. Introduce other drivers on the circuit, it becomes very difficult. And we're seeing people starting to crack now under the pressure.
I want to talk to Top Tom's engineer after this race because I keep thinking about that undercut of the safety car without the wing change. Like, that pit stop to me was... I don't know why they came in. That Ferrari's now leading the race. It blows me away.
I mean, they were massively helped by the fact that the safety car came out when it did, and it did really allow him to get in the pit stop, save a lot of time that he would have lost normally, and then start to push up the field. I am seeing, honestly, somebody right now on these hards looks like he's really struggling to keep the car pointing in the right direction. He's getting lots of oversteer on the exits. Yeah, it feels like, I don't know if his setup is just a bit unstable or if he's just trying that little bit too hard, but he hasn't got DRS on his teammate ahead, which is now putting him at risk here from Yolta and Geton behind. Bear in mind, again, Geton had a drive-through to serve from the first safety car. He's back up in P6.
He's crunching it. He's, he's wearing a hole in his shoe. He is hammering down, and he wants to get as far away from zones as possible. At the restart, we had one position separating Get Owned and Zones. Now we're up to 3 positions separating them, and that's crucial, especially for Get Owned and Zones. He's got penalties. It's looking good for Get Owned in his fight in the driver's title, that's for certain, and it's also looking quite good for the Williams boys, regardless of where some idiot leading this race. He's in 4th behind his teammate. You mentioned it, I mentioned it. He's not too concerned about the champion. I imagine he'd like a win.
Yeah, without doubt.
But we know his focus. He really wants those Williams to be on the top step at the end of the season.
Yellow flag, is that Dennis? It is Dennis. He's had an issue and he's lost part of his wing. He was having a great race. Then the contact thing he had with Florian, I don't know who caused it, but the stewards have been in touch and told us that incident has been noted. So not necessarily a penalty being issued, but it is at least aware of what happened, and they may impose some penalty points if they felt it was a bit too aggressive from either driver. However, Yolta is under attack now from Geton. This is great news for some idiot because this is buying him some time. Hugo's is closing in on Patrick Sipos. Patrick Sipos is closing in on Top Tom. The only thing Top Tom doesn't need to worry about is the penalty situation. Yolta closed his front wing too early. This is allowing a move here from Geton to lunge down the inside, and he's up now to P5. Dennis went into the pits and retired from the race. He is saying good night to this Grand Prix.
Yeah, good night, Dennis. Tough drive in the Alfa Romeo. I'm very much of the opinion in these races, you start the race with, 1, 2, 1, like a beat, if you will. You got a beat, and as soon as you lose that rhythm, it's tough. It's very tough to get it back. Yeah,
and not just that. If you get hit with anything, the mental attitude that puts you into You know, it's so hard to bring yourself out of that negative mindset, and you got to try and keep yourself under control. As Brownie's caught himself inside of a Mercedes sandwich. He's on P9. He's still going to score himself some points for his team. Obviously, he doesn't need to worry about zones necessarily, other than physically on the track, because penalties for zones will put him outside of the top 10 altogether.
1.6 seconds, the gap to Top Tom. Top Tom, I'm sure he knows about the penalty situation for that AlphaTauri, but regardless, he doesn't want to be fighting a driver like Saipos with penalties, because he knows it could cost him a win to the drivers behind him without the penalties. With Hugo's, some idiot, you know, they are within range of Saipos' penalty net, if you will, and somebody else who's in that net is Get Owned.
Yeah. Yeah. Yolta's actually struggling now. Yolta's really losing time. The tires, the medium tires, are actually starting to wear away for these guys. They're not exactly going to fall off a cliff all of a sudden, but Geton is looking for some idiot. He's not quite found the way through. He's proving that the mediums are still working for him, but the hards will start to come to life properly in around about 2 or 3 laps. That's when some idiot should start to feel a little bit more powerful, as Zones has gained on his teammate. So did Brownie, who gained on Vanya as well. I'm not sure why, unless that was a mistake mid. I'm not sure why you would do that.
He had a bit of, well, Veneer had a bit of a lockup coming into turn 7. Brownie went around the outside, and it was just as if Zone said, you know, thanks, and went right by him. So I'm not entirely too sure what's going on there. Veneer, clean cut right now, and well, we'll have to see if he's able to stick with Zones here. Actually, he's already dropped out of DRS. Zones is right on the rear of Brownie.
Yep. Well, Yonti has said, all right, well, my race is done. I'm just going to go for some fastest laps and have a bit of fun to get this race over and done with. But he sets the new fastest lap, taking away a point from the front runners. Now, this is good news for some idiot right now, knowing that Geton can't pass him, or at least not as easy. Geton is actually struggling with his DRS. Normally, this is something that we've praised him for, being so good at looking after that. This time, he's in the teens. That's how poor he's doing. Whereas some idiot, he's only a little bit better, but you would expect that from somebody who's having to try and defend.
Yeah, and we're at the point now, we saw Top Tom get through and some idiot at a point where the tire degradation and the tire differential was massive. You know, it was just massive. We're at a point now where things are starting to equalize. Some idiot very good on his tires. He's defending Get Owned into turn 7, and getting by some idiot is difficult. It's very difficult, and Hugo's is going to be thrilled right now about it, because Hugo's is within a very good podium point here. Some idiot wants to be in the podium points here. So the longer he's able to hold up Get Owned, the longer he's going to be able to have a little bit of a better opportunity on his hards at the end, which we've spoken about. And it's a long race. We're finally getting to that point in time where those ideas, those strategies that we brought forth could now come through.
Yeah, they really can. Well, 5 laps to go, if you include the remainder of the one that they're on right now. Patrick Sipos, yes, he's closing in rapidly on Top Tom, but he's getting penalties to boot. 15 seconds is his current penalty situation. It's not looking good for him. That will put him right down the field. I think he falls to like P6, P7, maybe even a bit further than that, to be truthfully honest. But 1.2 seconds. If he can close in on Top Tom, he might be able to cause a bit of an upset there, which will then allow Hugo's to suddenly start firing up. But what 3/10 to go before that happens? Some idiot still holding on to this P4. Realistically, he's looking at a podium. This would be great news for some idiot if he can get it, because both Williams would be 2-3. It's just now, how do you hold on to this P4 when you have a very quick driver behind you in the form of Get Earned?
It's tough. It's really tough, and you know what? Get Owned, I have to say, Get Owned right now, he had a way better run into turn 7 last time, I think. But I think he's just being patient, biding his time, maybe saving a little bit of rubber, keeping the tires at a decent temperature, not pushing them too hard. But I feel like he should be closer right now. I don't know what to think about this situation. We're coming out of the sling now into 13. DRS, this is crucial.
Well, that's the thing. I think Geton is just pushing too hard now. He's at a point where his tires are failing him. He doesn't quite have the pace that he needs in order to hold on to this. And this is actually becoming a problem for him. He can't charge the ERS because if he does, he'll lose time to Samidia.
Yeah.
And that's when somebody is actually excelling. Somebody is doing just enough to save a little bit of ERS that he can dump all of it on that DRS straight coming out of turn 5. And that's kind of the only way somebody loses this is if he, for one lap, screws that up. He's 19% coming out of that braking zone. He's going to gain a little bit here. And then we're going to have more coming through turn 1. And that's going to be the bit where he'll charge it up enough to, I think, get to about 22%. And then after that, he should be pretty cozy.
Sipos, 1.3 seconds now. Just dancing around 1.4. The gap to TomTom, and the big question is, will he catch him? Will they fight? Will TomTom let him go? And just like go through, because I don't want to lose any time further to, of course, Hugo's and Samidia. But something to talk about is the fact that Hugo's is 2.4 seconds on the rear of Sipos.
Yeah.
I'd like to see those gaps come down. I'd like to see the late lap, the last lap lunges and things like this. We've still got a couple of laps of running. Tire wear in Singapore. As soon as that tire wear comes through, it's tough because you can make a lot of mistakes. Sector 2, Sector 3. I mean, it's Marina Bay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Hugo's is bringing that time down, just not quite as fast as we need it to. We do still have 3 laps to go, realistically. And I think ultimately Hugo's is in a great position regardless of what happens. The bit he needs to not do here is just not overpush. On this track, if you overpush, it only requires one mistake and it will snap and kill you. So yeah, the last thing you need now is that mistake, especially when you are about to take the Constructors' Championship lead. And yeah, Patrick Sipos now up to 18 seconds. Oh, he's crashed! He's crashed. Big crash. He's lost his wing completely, and he's out of the race.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna have to send. Okay, so that was a very interesting situation. I'm not gonna lie, I had an onboard view of that, but I'm gonna give it to the stewards.
Oh, right.
That was interesting. So I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything about it. It was very interesting to see. So Sipos now out of this race, and this is really kind of, well, it's put Hugo's and somebody into the position that they would have more than likely landed at the end of this race.
Yeah. I mean, Williams needed the fight between Sipos and TomTom in order to allow Hugo's to close in quite rapidly. Now, 3.9 second gap with 2 laps to go. I feel like it's just a bit too much to ask, and I'm not expecting that we're going to see that unfold. However, the good news is that now we're seeing more people getting into points that we didn't expect them to gain in the first place. Safso now, he's currently in P10. Yes, it's a singular point, but a point is a point, and that's exactly what he's looking for. With a nice, healthy 24.6 second gap behind him, it looks like that position is firmly locked in. The only way anything could change is if anybody ahead of him has more penalties than what he has, but he has 9, so not looking likely.
Things are just, they're at that, it is a long drive around here, and with the dynamics that we have had in this campaign, it has been such a race to see, and I'm not surprised to see things kind of separating themselves out just a little bit. We got a couple of penalties now on the grid. I mean, 18 drivers began this campaign. We're down to 13. If that's any indicator that this has been a race to remember.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at the same time, the drive from some idiot here has been incredible. I mean, don't get me wrong. TomTom has done a fantastic job. He made that really ballsy call at the very beginning when he went for that early pit stop to get the undercut, and it worked. Then, obviously, we had more safety cars and more virtual safety cars that really helped him as well and brought him up to the front of the grid. He's also done a very good job of keeping himself penalty-free. However, Samidia, at least since the last safety car, has been constantly under attack. He's always had somebody hunting him down, trying to take that position away from him, and every single time anybody's come near him, he's handled it very well. And right now, he's holding on to P3. I don't want to jinx him in any way, but in terms of ERS management, he's matching Geton, which is all he has to do. Geton tried to charge it, it didn't work, and now he's in big trouble.
Copy's got a problem named Brownie right now, and less than half a second the gap between these two could see a nice change of position on circuit. Right now as penalty stand, Brownie will potentially net I think he might even net P5.
But I think I think Copy will get his 5-second removed. If I remember correctly, I don't think he got caught up in that major incident that caused the initial safety car. Wow, get earned. Yeah, his tires are dropping and the gap is starting to extend. So that all that some idiot has to do now is just maintain that pace. Just do not make a mistake, and Geton will throw himself out of your DRS range, and then you just carry on as you are, enjoying the race. A little bit of DRS here will help him bring the gap back down a little bit, but we are now on the final lap. There is a scrap going on down there for P6 that is between Copy and Brownie. Bear in mind, Brownie had a big mistake coming out of the pit lane, which caused him to have to re-pit again. That's just how crazy this race has been. He fell right to the back of the grid, and suddenly he's back in P7.
Yeah, P2 coming into the pit lane, getting the tires switched over, coming out of the pit lane. Some front damage. Hate to see it. Coming into the pit lane again, getting that fresh set. Now you're in P7. You're going to be happy with that, persevering over the challenge. And this has been a challenging race. Make no mistake.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think realistically, if we look at the penalty situation, it looks like Brownie will gain on both of the drivers ahead of him, one of which is his teammate. However, he cannot afford to let the time grow any more than it already is, because that gap is pretty close to the 6 seconds that Yolta has. So he needs to, rein it in a little bit to keep that gap locked in. And yes, he will get P5 physically in this race due to the penalties. And I think when Copy gets his removed, though, he'll only fall back down to P6. And Brownie will be, I'm fine with that, especially considering what happened. I'd be happy with that. We also have a little battle
16.
going on at the very far. Oh, that's never mind. It's with Higgs's DC'd car. He can't drive through him because ghosting is disabled in this. Yellow flag sector 2. That is a Mercedes. That is Zones who is hitting the wall. Oh, he's got puncture. His rear right is popped. And Top Tom has crossed the lane to take the win. Hugo's gets P2, and some idiot, through pure determination and resilience, he takes the third step of the podium. A great result for Williams again. Yolta takes P5 physically. Copy will not gain that position on him, and Brownie will jump up to P5. So great stuff from him. Vanya P8. Safso will make it to stay in P9. I think the penalty situation is... Oh, wait, yes, Safso gains an additional place. This is fantastic for him. He will gain 2 points for his team. And Daniko, I think he's closing in at a rate of knots now. That is allowing him to get inside of Zones' penalty range, I believe. And that might be a final point scored for him.
Not only a final point, but if he's able to get a fastest lap here very late in the race, it'll be 2 points for him.
Yeah. Oh, not with a line like that, is not. And here he comes to the line then. Nope, no fastest lap, but a P11. And then take into account Zones' penalties that are going to be applied post-race. That is Danica then up to P10. So fantastic stuff from him. Yonti will come around and take the 12th place with Higgsy, who's not actually here. That is his AI. Will be taking 13th place.
Big congratulations to Top Tom, because he started this race on softs. He came in for mediums. A safety car came out. He will never forget this race, I don't think. I don't know him that well, but that has to be a win in the top 5 for sure. Because, man, what a what a turn of fortune.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well done for a lot of these drivers, but more specifically the top 3. Hugo's, Some Idiot, and Top Tom all did a fantastic job to react to the situations, although I feel as though Williams were robbed of a win here today. That win was looking so good for them, but realistically, they still made it work to get both of their drivers for the 2nd week in a row on the podium. We'll get the results, and then we'll hear from them shortly after in an interview. So Top Tom getting the win, started P4, moved up to P1, despite having huge issues at the very beginning of the race. Hugo's P2, Somebody P3, Geto on P4, Brownie P5, Yolta P6, Copy P7, Vanya P8 with Sapsa P9, and Zones for now getting the final point position. He will lose that though due to the post-race penalties that the stewards have given him. Daniko will move up to P10 then as a result with Yonce P12, Higgsy P13, Patrick Sipos was the start of the DNFers as we had Florian in P15, Dennis, Murder Pasha and Vexit all crashed out of this race one way or another. Oh man! Now the final question then for you, Strithium, is who's your driver of the day?
Oh, I forgot about that one. I
Yeah.
didn't prepare myself for that. I'll be honest, but I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna have to go with Cody. I'm gonna have to go with some idiot here. Some idiot there. He was my pick for the win, and we may very well have seen him there with that original strategy, as you had said, and the defense that he put up against the against the McLaren of get owned in that final stint. I think it definitely gives him my badge today for driver of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm torn. I can't decide who I want to give it to. I think Top Tom deserves it as well, but I also think both the Williams drivers deserve it. I think Get Owned. You know what? I'm actually going to break the rules. I'm chucking the rulebook out the window here. I'm going to give the driver of the day to the Williams Jeff because they reacted so many times today that they had to understand everything perfectly. So for me, Williams Jeff deserves it. The calls that were made today were great. I really enjoyed that. Right, now we're going to move over to the interview stage. We're going to go hear from both of those Williams drivers in just a uno momento. Let me just go and find the first of which is Some Idiot. Let's get him in here now. Hello. Mr. Some Idiot, how are you?
A little disappointed. A little disappointed. I could hear it for you, Striff. I could hear that.
I had you on the win today, my friend, and I have to say it was a big race today.
I'm just gonna say one thing, and I don't know how true it's gonna sound. That felt like a reverse secure. So I'm a big Checo fan, and that felt like basically what happened is if the Mercedes didn't have tire issues, how that race went for me. That's basically that's the one thing I thought of.
I mean, it was. We'll actually talk about the start of the race. Obviously, you were looking a little bit hesitant at first. You didn't quite feel like you were. Well, I mean, from where I saw, you didn't look like you were in the best of scenarios when it came to overall pace. You seemed to be struggling with the back end a little bit, but you kept it together. You didn't have any issues, and you managed to manage that all the way through the race. And then the safety car started to hit. You reacted fine for the first one. The VSC was good as well. The second safety car, I feel, just robbed you of that win today.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't pit there. I knew because I'd literally pitted one lap ago. I was even thinking of going one more lap. Wouldn't have changed my predicament, though. However, it's like I'm not going to talk about what happened with caused the safety car. It's frustrating. I thought some specific things happened, but I won't delve into it. But it's just
I don't know if you're already aware, but the stewards are investigating that.
Yeah. I've had that happen to me once or twice before in league racing, where I get some incredible luck to go my way. Like, you can't tell me I didn't get a little bit of luck with Gedon getting a drive through, Vexit and Zones not even getting a good lap in quali. That was a good lap for me in quali. Maybe a tenth or two more, but I can't ask for that. That I put myself in the position. I even got gifted a bit of it, but it just wasn't meant to be.
But I mean, look at it like this. You're still P3. You still scored big points. And I believe, if my quick maths is correct, Williams have taken the Constructors' Championship lead from McLaren. And granted, it's by a couple of points, but you're still in the lead. That's got to be something, right?
Absolutely. Like, that's just a testament to the team we have. Like, they work their asses off for us. They deserve this kind of results. They deserved a win today. I'm not taking anything away from Top Tom, but those guys, they deserved a win regardless of what happened there. They deserved a win. Yeah. And I wish I could have brought that to them. That's what kills me. Like, usually I'm excited after these races, but they deserve to win. And that's what hurts me.
Well, I mean, look, both the Williams drivers still brought it across the line and still scored big points today. P2, P3 is fantastic. But enough about today, because next week is Russia. How are you feeling for Russia?
No. Let me just say, if there's a lap one safety car, I can go mediums 25 laps. I've done that before, and it works quite well. It's about all I can say for it. I said the same thing about Singapore last week, but I found something in the setup that just gelled with what I wanted out of a car, and maybe I find the same thing. I've got some new ideas to try. Maybe one of them will work for Russia, and maybe we get a little bit more luck going our way like this week. I don't know. But I just want to say congrats to Top Tom. He made that strategy work. Congrats to him. He drove an excellent race. Regardless of what happened in the race, he deserved to win on his speed that he had. He drove a really good race, and then Hugo drove an awesome race. Like he's ace around Singapore, and like he drove a good race. And then I just did everything I could to keep Gedone behind me. But yeah, for Russia, we'll see what happens. Anything else I can really answer?
Well, I mean, regardless, still a very good result from you and your teammate, and we'll get your teammate in here in a second so we can have an interview with him too. But, really solid result. I'm hoping to see you do well again next week because this Constructors' Championship fight is heating up way more than I expected it to be. So good job. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right, let's hear from our P2 driver, Mr. Hugos, who last week we were celebrating a victory. This week we're celebrating what could have been a victory, but ended up being a P2. How was your drive?
I think I did everything right in the race. I don't think I did anything particularly wrong. Same goes for some idiot, and I think we maximised all the points we could have got considering the situation we were in.
Yeah, I mean, it looked very much like that. I think pitting onto mediums looked to be the right call. It felt like it was working quite well for you initially, but you just couldn't quite close in fast enough to Patrick's EPOS, and yeah, that as a result, that kind of held you back there in P2. But still, all things considered, like I was just saying to your teammate, you've both done such a good job in the last couple of races at least, and the whole season, that you're now, I believe, if my maths is correct, the Constructors' Championship leaders. So that's a good start heading into Russia next week. But is that a track that you're good at?
I mean, I'll say not really, but I think coming next week, I'll hope to be on the podium again.
I like the sound of that. I mean, I'm expecting you to be on the podium, so if you let us down, you're letting the whole community down. I just want you to know that. But I don't know if you caught the hype video today. We put in a little tribute, I guess, if you like, to Williams. So if you haven't seen it, if you do watch the replay, go watch the hype video. Watch the last 15 seconds of the hype video. It was we added one of your clips in there, Hugo's. I hope you don't mind me choosing.
Thank you.
Next week though, Russia, I need a prediction. I need an accurate prediction. I can't just take hopefully get a podium. I need an actual prediction from you.
Williams 1-2.
Oh, that's what I was hoping for.
No.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's too late. It's too late. Expectations been set. No, but listen, thank you guys, both of you. I appreciate it. It was such a good drive from the two of you. You really stayed to it, and it paid off in the end. Well done.
Thank you.
Right, let's get our race winner, Mr. Tom Harvey, Top Tom himself, taking that race win. I bet he didn't expect that at the beginning of this race.
Nope. I don't think I felt less confident going to a league race. Completely bottled qualifying. Pitted on lap 1. I know you were laughing at my strategy,
No.
if you could even call it that. Pitting on lap 1.
I would just like to know what the thought, because there was no wing change, correct me if I'm wrong, what the thought process was behind that pit stop.
Over 20% tire wear and no hope.
You started with
Wow.
over 20%. How much? You had 20% tire wear.
Yeah,
on your
because
softs.
I went out on the same set of softs again, quite panicking to do the second lap, and I didn't even get the lap in because I didn't cross the line in time.
Oh dear.
I had no hope. So and then I pitted on mediums, thinking to do something, and then miraculously, the safety car comes out on lap 2. After all the crashes, I think I was like P12 or P13 or something. I mean, I even spun at one point, but the timings of the safety cars and the fact that I could use 2 mediums, and the fact that everyone or most people quick bottled it completely, just gave me so much luck, and yeah, somehow I've ended up in the win.
I mean,
You
it was.
had,
Well,
sorry, it was just you cut through the field at the restart for the first safety car. And
Yeah,
then you had made your way into such a great position, and then it fell in your lap. It fell in your lap, the next safety car.
did really. I mean, I even managed to lose it on the curb, which I didn't even know you could do, but somehow I managed to make that work. and still ended up in such a good position. As soon as the guy retired and left, I mean, I was literally joking to guys with Owen, like, "Oh, safety car's coming out now," and it actually did, which basically left me in second on mediums with some idiot and hard. So yeah, sorry, some idiot. There was nothing you could do. Yeah, it all just
No,
comes down to
it's
really.
congrats to you, by the way. I like that's just how the race goes. I've been in the inverse position before. It just happened to be I had to be in that position today. So congrats to you.
Yeah, you're just unlucky, to be honest. It's what it is. So
Well,
yeah,
congratulations on the win. But next week is Russia. Now, now you're all three of you are here. I get to stir the pot a little bit. I've just heard from the Williams guys. They're getting 1-2 next week. What have you got to say to that?
I mean, I can't really equal them with the 1-2 because I haven't got a teammate currently. But I think, to be honest, I don't know if I have expectations for Russia, considering it's just not a good track in general, let alone my pace. So I
You
don't
let
know
me
if I
down
get
here. I'm expecting you to
some kind
say
of top
easy
five, I'll be
P1.
happy.
No.
You
I'm
didn't-
expecting an easy P1.
All
You
right,
didn't have expectations coming into
last
this,
last
and you took a
P1
win.
then. Last P1.
Oof, last to first. I'll take that. All right, I like it. I mean, you pretty much did that today, realistically.
Pretty much.
Again.
Pretty much.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for the for the race today. It was absolutely fantastic to watch all three of you. Congratulations for the 1, 2, and 3. Shame to Williams; they could have taken that win, but that is racing. And that's it for the Rwagnation League Grand Prix here in Singapore. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate for you guys, and also thank you, Striffian, for filling in at the last minute, and also being as awesome and as beautiful as you are. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to race here too, as well. I want to thank you guys both for that.
My
Appreciate the
pleasure.
opportunity.
My pleasure.
All right.